from your experience, how much percentage of customers who currently use analytics are traditional versus real-time or big data oriented, and how much of value, like there was a discussion about big data is not yet providing the value that it could. So how do you compare traditional BI versus big data, and how marketers are driving value from traditional versus the...
Naren, do you want to take that?
Yeah, I can take that. I mean, again, it really varies use case by use case. For example, we are talking to several banks, and one of the use cases they look at is, churn analysis, right? Customer churn, and how to predict and prevent churn. So what some of the data, if you look at E&Y surveys, what you will find is people rely on their social network and their friends to learn about financial products. About 50% or more people rely on that, number one. Number two, about 45% people, they will talk in social media about the type of customer experience they have had, with a particular brand.
So, Naren, just if I can rephrase the question. The question is, okay, of the 100% of the scene which is out there, what percentage is still traditional BI, companies which are leveraging traditional BI versus what percentage of the companies out there, pushing the boundaries of
Sure. So it always starts with, when we talk to the customers, it always starts with the traditional data. And the reason for that is, even the traditional data, because the transactional data for banks or retailers is huge. And with the traditional technology, they were not able to actually leverage the data, right, economically. Now with big data technology, they can leverage that. So it starts with that. But once it starts with that, what they realize is the use case, like what I was trying to mention, where they realize they can actually identify trends a lot earlier by checking that social sentiment, right? And they start getting that unstructured data into the play. That's how the use case we see evolving.
Yeah, so, I think you just said it, that traditional BI tools aren't going anywhere anytime soon. So, most large companies have them and will continue to have them. What we're seeing with customers is really kind of a phase of adoption. And the first phase, a lot of it is just cost containment and scalability. So, the first phase, we want to look at lower cost alternatives to storing information. We don't want to have to be constrained by costs and be chucking out data. We actually want to store all our data. So that's kind of the first phase, just storing it. The second phase is, something I talked about before, is having a more agile environment for finding new kinds of insights. So digging into the data in the raw form. You're still going to have your BI tools, you're still going to do your reporting, you're still going to have your data marts and key metrics, but you're going to have a sandpit in its raw form, storing much larger data sets and traditional emails and voice and text and transaction logs or whatever, and you'll do your analysis there. And then quite often you'll feed that back into a data mart. Okay, so this is important now. We want to monitor this, so we put that into the data mart. The next phase is then predictive analytics.
Would you two agree that in the reality of what we have, less than 5% of organizations are truly leveraging big data as of now? 95% is still on the BI, traditional BI.
That's correct.
Okay.
I just want. Sorry, go ahead. I was going to add something in here which I disagree, and that is the real-time aspect. Big data doesn't mean it has to be real-time. I'll give you two examples. One is companies who are manufacturing stuff overseas, and they want to analyze this data and look at it, right? It's big data, it's a lot of data. They don't need to look at it in real time, right? They look at it nightly, because the problem with us humans is that we are not real time, right? Even if you give that data to someone right away, the question is, what do you do with it? So that's one. The second one is that there is an institute not far from here called SETI Institute, which basically take pictures of the planets and stars and so on, right? They don't need to look at that data real time. Right? You don't need to find, oh look, we found a new planet here, you don't do that. But it's big data. There's a lot of data, and they have to do this, analyze it and so on. So here are two examples of where you don't need real-time aspect of it.
Just going back to hype, I think real time is a bit hype right now. Everyone is talking about real time. And
talk about SAP, HANA, in memory, real time, everything, right?
And I think it's really important when you do that strategizing, you figure out different use cases have different requirements for different types of latency. Some things, batch processing is just fine, and sometimes you want to do your analytics in batch, and then you might just feed a database that you need to look up in real time. But, we've been doing that for ages. It's not really anything different.
So you're right, there's a lot of hype, but hey, we are talking big data, so you're going to expect a lot of hype. No question, you're going to have domains and areas where you batch is sufficient, no question about that. However, there are areas that absolutely are going to need real time. It's not hype for certain areas. So be it ad serving on the fly, be it fraud detection on the fly, and so on and so forth. So absolutely, it's a critical aspect. I think the question is a very good question, because just to echo what you said, I just want to remind all of us that despite Gartner saying, oh yeah, we've crossed the peak of expectations, we're going down the disillusionment trough and all that, we're still very early in the whole big data journey. And no matter what panel we're part of and you're part of over time, we're all learning. We're all students in this, because it's very early innings.